I learned the truth about my place in my daughter's life on the same night her wedding guests stared at their glowing phones, whispering my name like it was a headline they were not prepared for. While Clark Hemsley lifted his champagne flute and Elias leaned against him, smiling for a photographer at the Driscoll Hotel, a murmur spread across the ballroom. Someone gasped softly. Then another voice said, "Isn't this her mother?" A Forbes alert had just gone out. The photo was unmistakable. Me, Lily Anderson, in a deep emerald dress, shaking hands with Governor Helena Cross under the bright lights of the Texas state capitol. I watched that moment later on video, a strange echo of the truth I had spoken earlier. My daughter told me not to come to her wedding because her in-laws were important people. I typed, "Understood." 12 hours later, her guests were reading Forbes about me. 24 hours before that, I had been sitting at my kitchen table in my small apartment off South Congress. Watering a peace lily that refused to grow, my phone buzzed. The message was short. "Don't come to my wedding. My in-laws are important people." There was no greeting. No explanation. Just a fact delivered like an order. I stared at those words until they blurred. My fingers moved before my breath did. Understood. I set the phone down gently, the way you place something fragile even when it has already broken. I felt a pressure behind my sternum, the familiar ache of a wound that had been reopened so many times, it barely surprised me anymore. A knock sounded on my door, soft but certain. Maribel Rhodes, my oldest friend, stepped inside before I could speak. "You're too quiet." "Lily," she said, "quiet from you is never good." I tried to answer, but my throat pulsed instead of forming words. She sat across from me, eyes narrowed. Tracing the tension in my jaw the way someone reads a map, I finally handed her the phone. She read the message once. Her mouth tightened. "You deserve better than this," she muttered. I did not disagree. But disagreement is different from knowing what to do next. And I had no idea yet that everything was about to collide. I did not grow into silence. I was pushed into it year after year, until the quiet felt like the only safe place left. When Elias was 5, her father packed a suitcase and said he needed space. He never came back. I remember standing in the doorway, holding Elias on my hip while she asked, "Is he coming home for dinner?" I told her he would not. She buried her face in my shoulder. And I promised myself I would never let her feel abandoned again. I meant it. I worked every hour I could find morning shifts at a bakery, evening bookkeeping, weekend community workshops, and slowly built what became the Willow Initiative, a program helping women start small businesses across Austin. I used to bring Elias with me, letting her color in the back of meeting rooms. She would look up proudly whenever someone shook my hand, but pride did not last. By the time she turned 10, the world had shown her a different mirror. She began noticing the rust on our old Honda, the faded hems on my shirts, the lunches I packed in reused containers. One afternoon, she stared at a classmate's mother stepping out of a shiny car in heels and a perfect blowout. "Why don't you dress like that?" she asked. "Because I spend money on things we need," I answered. She frowned, as if I had given the wrong truth. The turning point came when she was 12. She stood in the doorway of her room, hands balled into fists. "Mom, please don't come to the parent showcase tomorrow. You don't look like the other moms." I felt that sentence like a slap, delivered by a child who didn't know the weight of her own hand. "If you want me to stay home, I will." She nodded with relief. Relief. That night, I folded laundry in silence and understood exactly where I stood. From then on, whenever I tried to tell her about the women who graduated from my program or the grants I helped secure, she would glance at her phone and change the subject. So I stopped telling, and little by little, she stopped asking. After Maribel read the text, she set my phone down like it was something sour. You're not going to sit here and pretend that didn't stab you straight through the ribs, she said. I leaned back in my chair. Elias made her choice. She made a cruel choice. Maribel corrected. But you have another one. I didn't answer. The silence stretched between us until she narrowed her eyes. Lily Anderson, do not tell me you are forgetting what happens tomorrow night. I closed my eyes. I'm not forgetting. Then say it out loud. I hesitated, then let the truth slip out. Governor Helena Cross is giving me the Lifetime Impact Leadership Award. Maribel slapped her hand on the table. Exactly. And why didn't you tell your daughter? Because she doesn't listen. I spoke softly, but the words carried more hurt than I wanted. Every time I try to share anything meaningful, she looks bored. And it's her wedding weekend. I didn't want to overshadow anything. Steal spotlight. Maribel scoffed. You spent 71 years lifting other women up. You deserve every spotlight in this state. I shook my head. It's not that simple. It is, she insisted. Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Her certainty made something inside me wobble. I had spent decades choosing whatever made Elias comfortable, whatever kept peace, whatever shrank me enough to fit into her world. And now, on the night I was supposed to be honored for a lifetime of work, I was being told not to show up at her wedding because I didn't fit into someone else's idea of important people. I could skip both. I murmured. No drama, no attention. Maribel leaned in, her voice sharp. Lily, hiding is what small people do. You are not small. I exhaled slowly, the decision pressing against me. Waiting to be made, the wedding, the award. One door closed by my daughter, one door opened by the governor, and I knew I couldn't stand in the hallway forever. I told Maribel I needed the night to think. It was a half-truth. I had already decided. I just needed to let the decision settle somewhere inside me that wasn't bruised. In the morning, I opened my closet and stared at the same rotation of plain blouses and cardigans I'd worn for years. I remembered Clark's mother the first time I met her. She had looked at my outfit, a simple navy dress I'd worn to dozens of community meetings, and said, "Do you dress like this for formal events too?" Elias had laughed nervously and changed the subject. I had smiled like it didn't sting, but it did. The sting never left. It simply waited. Maribel arrived just after breakfast. Well, she asked. Hands on hips. I'm going to the gala, I said. She grinned. About time. I'm not doing it to make a point. Lily, you don't have to. Your existence is the point. We drove to a boutique downtown, a place I avoided because the windows alone looked expensive. But today, the door chimed as I walked in, and no one looked surprised to see me. A young stylist approached with a warm smile, shopping for something special. Maribel answered for me. She needs a gown that can hold 7 decades of dignity. The stylist brought out dresses in deep colors, wine, midnight, charcoal. But the moment I saw the emerald one, I felt something shift. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was simply me, polished instead of hidden. In the fitting room, I stepped into the gown and pulled the zipper up my spine. For a second, I didn't breathe. I turned toward the mirror. My hair was silver, my shoulders steady. The fabric softened. The lines age had drawn along my arms. I looked like a woman who had worked all her life, loved all her life, survived all her life, and had finally stopped apologizing for it. Maribel's voice floated through the curtain. Well, I opened it and stepped out. She pressed her hand to her chest. Lily Anderson, look at you. I did. And for the first time in years, I saw myself clearly. Elias adjusted her veil in the gilded mirror of the bridal suite at the Driscoll Hotel. Breathing in short, clipped bursts, the room buzzed with bridesmaids, stylists, and the low hum of classical music. But none of it settled her nerves. A bridesmaid whispered, "Your mom's really not coming." Elias forced a smile. "She's busy." That was not the truth, but it was easier than admitting the real reason. Downstairs, the ceremony ended, and the reception erupted with applause. Clark Hemsley kissed her forehead, glowing with the confidence of a man whose life had always aligned perfectly with his last name. He wrapped an arm around her waist. "You look incredible," he murmured. "My parents are thrilled." From behind him, his mother gave Elias a quick, approving nod. "Everything is exactly as it should be," she said. "No distractions today. We want the family looking unified." Elias swallowed. The words struck deeper than they should have. Then a guest leaned in. "Elias? Sweetheart, where's your mother? I was hoping to meet her." Elias blinked rapidly. "She decided not to come." "Strange." The guest said, "Most mothers wouldn't miss their own daughter's wedding." Elias stiffened. "It's complicated." Inside her chest, something twisted. She told herself Lily would not have belonged here anyway. The chandeliers, the champagne towers, the carefully curated elegance, none of it matched her mother's simple cardigans or worn handbag. She tried to believe that, but the lie started to itch. As she slipped away toward the dessert table, Clark caught her wrist. "Hey, I was looking for your mother during photos. Did she get lost?" Elias froze. He didn't know. He didn't suspect. "She wasn't feeling well," she said. Clark frowned. "You should have told me. I would have checked on her." A flush crept up Elias's neck. "It's fine," she insisted. Across the room, voices rose in small, curious murmurs, more people asking, more noticing. Elias felt the walls tilt. Just slightly. Like the building itself knew she was lying. She lifted her champagne, trying to steady her hand, unaware that somewhere across Austin, a camera flash had already captured her mother receiving an honor that would split this night wide open. The ballroom inside the Texas state capitol glimmered with high ceilings and warm light. But my eyes stayed mostly on the people around me. Policy leaders, entrepreneurs, women whose names appeared in newspapers, men in tailored suits. It felt like a world I had helped build from the outside, never expecting to stand in the center of it. Maribel squeezed my hand. "Breathe, Lily. You belong here more than half of them." I tried to smile, but my throat tightened the moment Governor Helena Cross stepped onto the stage. She was poised, confident. The kind of woman who could quiet a room with only her presence. "Tonight," she began, "we honor a woman who has spent more than 4 decades lifting up the backbone of this state, its small businesses, and the women who run them." My stomach dropped. She has helped over 4,000 women-owned businesses open their doors, expanded rural entrepreneurship training across 17 counties, and mentored founders who went on to build companies worth millions. Maribel nudged me. "That's you, sweetheart." I couldn't move. It was as if the air thickened around my chest. "Please welcome the recipient of this year's Lifetime Impact Leadership Award, Lily Anderson." Applause rose like a wave. I walked toward the stage slowly. Not out of fear, but disbelief. Governor Cross extended her hand. "You've changed this state more than you realize," she said quietly as she placed the award in my hands. I opened my mouth to respond, but a camera flash blinded me, then another. A man with a press badge stepped closer. "Lily, Forbes would like a photo specifically for the feature going out tonight." "Forbes," I repeated. He nodded. "A statewide impact story. They want your face front and center." The weight of the award settled into my palms, warm and strangely alive. For the first time in a long time, I stood taller, not because anyone told me to, but because the world finally saw me. The reception at the Driscoll was halfway through its first round of toasts when the room shifted. Not loudly, not suddenly, just a soft ripple, like a wave of breath pulled in at the same time. Glasses paused mid-air, conversations thinned. Elias noticed it first. Her maid of honor blinked at her phone, then whispered, "Oh my God," what Elias asked, her voice stiff. People all around them reached into pockets and purses. Phones lit up in every direction. A guest at the next table gasped, loud enough to cut across the music. Clark frowned. Why is everyone looking at their screens? Then someone said it clear, stunned, echoing. "Isn't this your mother?" Elias's breath snagged. Clark took the nearest phone from a guest who offered it without hesitation. The screen displayed a Forbes headline in bold letters. Texas Governor, Honors, Lily Anderson, Lifetime Impact Leadership Award. Beneath it was a photo of me standing tall, shaking Governor Helena Cross's hand, the Capitol lights turning my emerald gown into something almost luminous. Clark stared at the screen. "Your mother was at this, Elias." "What is this?" Elias's throat tightened. "I didn't know it would be published tonight." "You told me she did volunteer work," he said, voice sharpening. "You made it sound small." Before she could answer, Robert Hemsley approached, jaw tight. He spoke to Clark with thinly veiled irritation. "Why did you hide this from us? A connection like hers would have strengthened every partnership we have." Elias flushed, panic rising. "I didn't hide anything. You told your own mother not to come," a bridesmaid whispered, barely able to mask her disbelief. Elias's chest constricted as the truth folded over her, heavy and undeniable. The lie she had crafted so carefully was now dissolving under the weight of my name, my work, and the applause happening miles away. When the gala ended, and the last handshake faded into the hum of night, my phone began to ring. The first call came before I even stepped into Maribel's car. "Elias!" I watched her name glow on the screen, my chest tightening not with guilt, but with something quieter, steadier. I let it ring out. A voicemail followed almost instantly. "Mom, please call me. We need to talk." Another call, then another. By the time we reached my apartment, there were 9 missed calls and 4 voicemails. Maribel glanced at my phone and exhaled. "She's spiraling." I placed the phone face down. "I don't have to fix that." Maribel nodded. "No, you don't." Inside, the apartment felt unfamiliar warmer. Somehow, as if the award on my counter had changed the air itself. My phone lit up again. Elias's voice came through the speaker, tinny and trembling. "I did not know they'd publish it tonight. Clark's parents are furious. Everyone saw it. I need you to explain things. Please answer, Babai. Explain." I had spent decades explaining myself why I worked so much, why we didn't have money, why I didn't dress like other mothers, why my dreams mattered. I had explained myself into exhaustion, so I didn't pick up. By midnight, there were 23 missed calls. 2 strangers had even sent messages long, defensive paragraphs about how a mother should support her daughter and how I had embarrassed Elias. Maribel snatched my phone gently, brows furrowing. "People have some nerve," she muttered. She deleted the messages before I could read more. "You don't need poison tonight." Meanwhile, somewhere across the city, the newlyweds were unraveling. Clark called once calmer than Elias, but firmer. "Lily, I would appreciate a call back. This has created complications." I ignored him too. Maribel poured 2 glasses of water and sat beside me. "How do you feel?" I answered slowly. "I feel free." The phone buzzed again. Elias, crying this time. "Mom, I'm begging you, talk to me." Clark is furious. His father thinks I lied. Please don't do this. But I didn't do anything. I simply stayed quiet. And the quiet, for once, belonged to me. Elias showed up just after sunrise. I heard the knocking before I saw her through the peephole, still in her wedding makeup. Mascara smudged, hair pinned in a style meant for celebration, but now slumping under the weight of something heavier. "Mom!" she choked out when I cracked the door only an inch. "Please let me in." I kept my hand on the chain. "Not today." Her breath hitched. "I know I hurt you. I know, but everything is falling apart and I need you." Clark is furious. His parents are humiliating me. Everyone is talking about the Forbes article and Elias. I said softly, "You told me not to come to your wedding because your in-laws were important people." She wiped at her eyes. "I only said that because they judged me for you, and I judged you for them." A long silence stretched between us. She lifted her chin, waiting for forgiveness as if it were owed instead of earned. "They judged you the moment you judged me," I finally said. "You handed them the power they're using against you now." Her voice cracked. "Mom, please, just help me fix this. If you show up at the Hemsley fundraiser next week, if they see us together." "No," I said. The word was calm, absolute. "There will be no public reconciliation." She blinked as if slapped. "You cannot use my name or my image for your benefit." I continued. "Not in photographs, not in announcements, not in speeches. I will not be a prop in anyone's performance." Elias grabbed the edge of the door. "Are you choosing your pride over your own daughter?" "I'm choosing my dignity," I said. "Something you discarded without hesitation." Her hand slipped from the doorframe. I closed the door until only the chain separated us. My voice lowering. "You need to learn who you are without borrowing my light." Elias's breath trembled. "Mom, don't do this." But I stepped back, letting the chain hold the space between us. Behind the door, her sobs thinned into silence. 3 days after Elias cried at my doorstep, an unfamiliar number called. I let it go to voicemail. When I played it back, I heard Clark's mother trying to sound composed. "Lily, dear, the Hemsley Foundation's annual charity gala is this Saturday. It would mean a great deal if you attended. Your presence would stabilize things." Stabilize. Such a tidy word for desperation. Not half an hour later, Clark called directly. "Ms. Anderson, our donors respect your work. If you appear with us publicly, it will help correct the misunderstandings caused by the Forbes article." I almost laughed. Misunderstandings. I accepted an award. I didn't misrepresent anything. He lowered his voice. "Elias is under a lot of pressure. Please, just show up. Smile. Let people take a few photos of us as a family." Family. That word had been cheapened long before tonight. "I won't be there," I said, "and I won't be used." Before he could respond, I hung up. Then I printed the document I had drafted with a lawyer friend years ago, but never imagined needing. I added the Hemsley Foundation's name and sent it to their office and emails. A cease and desist, prohibiting the use of my name, image, or association in any public or private communication, stating that any violation would result in immediate civil action. Maribel read it over my shoulder. "Now that," she said, "is a door closing." That Saturday, as predicted, the gala unraveled. I heard from a former Willow Initiative colleague that several longtime donors backed out the moment they learned I wasn't attending. Without the implied connection to the governor's office, a high-value investor withdrew nearly $200,000 of support. By nightfall, Clark had lost a major banking contract, his biggest of the year. At 10 p.m., Elias called. The scream hit me before the words did. "You ruined us." I held the phone steady. "No, Elias, You ruined everything the moment you decided I wasn't good enough to stand next to you." Silence followed, raw and final. Later, I placed the framed Forbes photo on my office shelf, my face lit by the Capitol lights. Governor Cross's hand on mine. Then I locked my apartment door, the click soft but certain. If you felt this story in your chest, like and comment to share where you're watching from.